Hey, I wanted to talk to you a minute today about the gig economy. What is the gig economy? It's basically the side hustle, side income economy that's become so popular today and age. I hope you're still listening to this ad because it's really important for me. I was in the network marketing industry for over 13 years and I had an incredible experience. I learned a ton of things, but there were many things about the industry of network marketing that I really didn't love. One of which was the overinflated products. Number two was the fact that I had to build a team or balance those things that we would call legs, the whole pyramid thing. I really was done with that. About a year ago, I was introduced to a social retail company. Social retail simply means that we are using our social media platforms, which are free, by the way, to promote products and services that we love. The affiliate marketing is booming. Not even going to lie. It's an incredible place to be in. And I'm speaking to the woman who's in her 30s or maybe in her 40s, and she'd like to create that extra income. She'd like to create income on her own time. And she'd like to do it in a company that isn't all about the hype, that has some real products that she can get behind, and would work with somebody who wants to teach her how to do that. If that's you, then I would really love it if you would reach out to me. Feel free to comment below or leave me an email. Scan the code. I'm sure there's a code somewhere if you're watching on my YouTube channel, but I would love to get in touch with you. And this is why. The company that I'm with, modere.com or modere.ca, depending on where you're at, check out shiftingretail.com. So that's shiftingretail.com. I want you specifically to go check out the values of this company and what their mission is. That was really important for me. I got flown down to the corporate offices and I had a chance to meet with the corporate crew and meet with the visionaries that are really driving the company forward. And what I discovered is this. The first thing they said to me was, Candace, when people come here from a network marketing company, they start making money. Now, disclaimer, this is work. This is going to take work. This is going to take energy, effort, time, and skill. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Those don't exist, at least not ones that I would like to put my name behind. However, this company pays us 10 to 36% on commissions of whatever we've moved within our business. And we get paid daily. We get paid up to twice daily. Biggest, coolest thing about this, if I move product, I get paid on the product, period. No balancing legs, no having to do any of that stuff. If product moves because of a referral that I did, whether it was through my social media, through a swipe up influencer, or a person-to-person conversation, doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid on it. And for me, being paid on the work and the effort that I do is important. So if this is something that's intriguing to you, I invite you to head over to shiftingretail.com or head over to CSmiley, that's CSMILEY.shiftingretail.com, and you'll be able to join my team directly. If you've got some more questions, please comment below or find a way to contact me and get in touch, because I would love to share with you how we're building this and how affiliate marketing is the place for you to be. And trust me, once I show you how to do it with this company, I will show you the many companies, brick and mortar stores, you name it, sole proprietors, entrepreneurs who have an affiliate-based idea. And once you can do it with one company, you can do it with any of them. So I'm excited to teach you that. In fact, so excited, we're going to give you 120 days of done-for-you posts or text that will help you so that you don't have to worry about what to post or when to post or how to post it. We're going to give all of that to you. You just got to show up with drive, determination, and some cash flow to get you started. $39.99 gets you your affiliate link and code and gets ready to start. Maybe you want to try some product too. It's awesome. But up to 2 customer orders actually qualifies you for commission. So you don't even have to place an order, provided you've got customer orders that are moving in your business. Brand new customer orders qualify you for commissions every month. Super cool. Definitely an opportunity for somebody who wants to come in, put some effort in, and work with integrity, work with honesty, but really begin to use the social media time that right now is really just wasted time and turn that into cash flow. Awesome. Hope you have a wonderful day and keep enjoying our show. All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Create the Ripple podcast. I am your host, Candace Smiley, and I'm so grateful to be holding space today. My guest is coming to us out of New York, which she doesn't know this, but it's definitely on my bucket list. Probably would have been there if the world hadn't, shut down, turned around, and went upside down last year. But I'm really excited because her topic is certainly one that, as an entrepreneur, has always been in the forefront of my mind. And certainly I know that a lot of my listeners are either moms or single moms or they're solopreneurs. And so I think our topic today is going to, answer a lot of questions. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass the call over to Aimee, and I want her to introduce herself, share a bit of her bio, and then we've got some questions that we're going to go through. So Aimee, call's all yours.
Thanks. My name is Aimee LaLiberte, and I own the little part of my internet world called My Virtual CFO. And I help 6 and 7 figure business owners create a relationship with money. And the way that we do that is through the obvious things such as like bookkeeping and CFO and forecasting, but we also work on the mindset piece of it, because if you do have a business, owning and running a business, there is a mindset component that I think is often forgotten and not focused on. And it is usually the secret sauce that helps create any money goal your heart desires.
I think this is actually really huge that you bring that up, because I have often been in relationship, both friendships and relationships. And those people have often chosen to go into an entrepreneurship, maybe because of my mindset, because I grew up with entrepreneurial parents. They were farmers. I mean, that's, that's entrepreneur all the way. And so I'd watched, them work, and I watched a mindset around money, and then, grew up, started my own business. And like so many small business people, I had a beautiful website. I had beautiful business cards. But no network to speak of. And so, the money did not come in quickly, but it was certainly going out the door a lot faster. But getting around people who had businesses and had a great mindset around money certainly had a huge impact on being able to move through that. So I'd love to start there if we can with that mindset piece around money. And I loved how specific you were, 6 and 7 figure earners. And I was like, oh, I love that. I love it when people know. Does that make sense? I mean, I think it's hard because people don't want to niche themselves, but it's such a freeing piece, even for someone like myself listening to you saying, wow, right? So as a business owner, how big is that mindset piece, do you think?
So I really think, I mean, we hear like the whole 80-20, I would say 80-20, if not more. And this is why. So I'm going to take you into like my past in order to bring you into the future of where I am today. But right before you hit record, I was sharing that I was a competitive swimmer. And so I spent 12 years competing, and I swam from the time I was 8 until the time I was 20. And when I look through that, it was, like, I think that that's so much coincides with the evolution of a business in terms of like, I was learning how to swim. Then I joined a club. Then I like trained in order to be able to compete. And then I started competing. And then it wasn't until I was 13 that I specialized. And then once I specialized, then it became even more in depth in terms of like just really fine tuning different things and like using different strategies. And I think so much of that comes into having a business, and the money mindset piece of it is with like an athlete's like mindset. I can tell you that I trained incredibly hard. I would lift weights, I would do all the things. But then if I had performance anxiety, if I was nervous about the race, if I started to overthink or anything like that, my time was not reflective of all the work that I put in. And I think that's that so often happens with entrepreneurs. And I think it happens so often with money mindset piece of it, because we can do all the we can have the relationship, we can open up the bank accounts. I could tell you all of like the things to do, right? But if you have these lingering thoughts of, I'm not good at money, I don't know how to manage money, I'm bad at math, I don't understand money. Like, if anything, these limiting beliefs that you have, if you're not nurturing those and inviting the awareness to come up, and then to also then turn around and decide whether or not those are thoughts that you you want to continue to have and to think and to believe in order to create the next version of yourself and the next version of your entrepreneurial self. I think that's where the mindset stuff becomes so critical. And I can tell you that towards the end of my swim career, when I finally just decided, like, I trained, I did this, I can do this, like just lock in the brain and just put it on, like my performance became so much better. I became faster. I saw the results of all the work I had because I finally just dropped all the beliefs of like, well, if I swim it this way, I'm going to get tired and everything. If I'm doing this, it's going to do this. So like if you are someone in the season where you're growing your business and so you're investing money in fill in the blank of what it is, but you have scarcity mindset issues around all of that. And so you don't allow yourself to receive the beauties of like of those investments and to see the ROI, you're never going to be able to continue to grow. You're going to hit a ceiling largely because you have to really dismantle the beliefs that you have that don't serve you to get to the next level.
I love that you brought up the scarcity one because that was a huge one for me. And largely because, part of my story is I got left with $350,000 worth of debt from a relationship. Guy fled the country. Like, I'm left holding the bag. And I had never been in that space before up until that point. I had a great money mindset. I had this attitude of whatever I touch turns to gold. And that was really reflected in pretty much everything. It wasn't that, there was sometimes more month than money, but it was just a drastic shift and change. And has taken years to remove that scarcity mindset, to learn that I can function, that there's no other shoe that's going to drop, this sort of thing. And I was saying on another podcast the other day that I said that scarcity mindset piece, it's in like so many layers. And I'm sure you're aware of this, right? With this awareness, you go to the next level and then there's other things to work on. But the other day I was like, there's a scarcity challenge like over in that corner. Like I had no idea it was still running the show. And, I like talking about stuff like that because I think for a lot of people, like you were saying, you can be doing the right things for a long time and then realize, oh, there's still something over there that I need to be working on. Now, when we were chatting, and certainly in the questions that we were going to, talk about, one of the things that you brought up, which I love, because I work with a lot of women, and self-worth for us is so often tied to, how the business is doing, how our relationships are doing. And certainly those are, mirrored, I think. But, one of the things we wanted to talk about was how do you separate your self-worth from what's happening in your business? Because it's very easy for us to think, well, I am my business, and to see that reflected most profoundly, especially if we're spending hours in and on our businesses every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I believe that there's like three basic fundamental tenets in life, and these are the following. You are enough, you are loved, and you are worthy. Like if we can just everything comes back to those three thoughts, right? And so if we just believe, and I think that, we often hear about when, babies are born and, they're, maybe they like spit up. They're not like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. Like, they don't say that. They're like, this is like, this
Why
doesn't
you
feel
clean me
right.
up right now?
Right. Like,
Yeah.
so, but for whatever reason, when we make mistakes, like whether it's like in mistakes, I use that in air quotes because I don't know, like that's like how our brains like formulate a mistake, right? But what often happens that I see with women is that they look at their financials if they're entrepreneurs and they see their bottom line, their profit and loss statement, and they see that that number is a loss. And let's say that they're like, I'm terrible at this. I'm no good. And they have these thoughts of like, where they're just like directly aligned to like self-worth. It's almost that if you do have those thoughts, it's an invitation for you to just take a time out and realize that the numbers are neutral. It doesn't matter if they're positive or negative, they're neutral. It's our thoughts about them that really creates the feelings, right? And so if we have these thoughts, of like, we're not worthy, then like, how does that make you feel? Right. So then how do you act from that feeling, that place of feeling? And instead of doing that, if we just decide that we are worthy, We're always worthy. It doesn't matter if you, it doesn't matter if you are a, $20 million business or if you are a $5,000 business, you are worthy. Like there's just, these numbers are neutral. There's some zeros more on one than the other, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't have a direct line to our worth, our self-worth. We are always worthy. And if we can just love ourselves unconditionally, regardless of what the results in the business are, those are completely separate. That is an invitation for anyone, women especially, to become the next version of themselves and to decide, this is not the result that I was looking to create. And where is the opportunity and where are the invitations for me to make adjustments and pivots in order to get myself closer to the result that I'm looking to create? And is there, for me, I'm definitely someone who is working through the rush and hurry mindset, right? It's like, I got to hurry up and get there. But I am like, I have really in the last couple of years really started to enjoy the journey. Like, what if I just enjoy every single moment and embrace like the ups and downs of the entire process? Because that's what it's about. If I quickly wanted to jump into like getting to the destination, there's no fun in that. And if I want to jump there, then I'm going to miss out. I'm going to skip over like the negative emotions, which, I'm like, yay, let me get past those. But I'm also going to miss out on all like the highs and like really seeing who am I becoming as a result of all of this. Right. And so that's where it all boils down to. So like in the easiest way, I would say, remember the bottom line on your income statement, the amount of money that's in your bank account, that has nothing to do with you as like your worth as a human being. That is just your birthright. You are worthy. You are always worthy. The number is neutral. Your thoughts around it is what creates everything else.
I love that. I think that's incredibly powerful. I love that you brought that up because I agree. I'm always like, how do I get there? And, maybe you're like me in the sense that I can often see very clearly where I want to go and what we need to do to get there. But sometimes there's other elements or, maybe the dream or the idea needs time, right? I forget the time. If I look back on, things I said I was going to do 5 years ago that I'm finally doing now, I needed some time. I needed some time to go through something or grow something or meet the right people. But I always get there. It just usually not nearly as quickly as I would like to. And recently, when the world shut down, I got into backcountry camping. And that was really good for that whole mindset piece around wanting to get there, because when you're hiking 20K, there's no getting there fast, right? You're going to go, so many kilometers an hour and, that's it. That's all there is to it. And then getting there, sometimes getting there is good, but getting there was just as good. And there were some moments along the way. And so been trying to bring that back home. I also noticed that when I'm like more focused on enjoying getting there rather than counting the kilometers, then time seems to slow down, which for an entrepreneur and a mom, time always seems to be like, how is it already 4 o'clock? How is it already, those sorts of things just sort of stop. I think, oh, it's only 11. That's awesome. There's still an entire day left. And I find myself enjoying my thoughts, enjoying what I'm thinking. And there's a lot more room for creativity. And from that creativity, that's typically where some of my best ideas come from. So I can only imagine that if we certainly as women, but entrepreneurs can start to enjoy, the first year where it's probably going to be a loss, or, year number 5 that was tough with COVID. It is what it is. How can I enjoy it? And what did I learn? The impact of that. That's really cool. You talk about profit first. Why is that important?
So I'm going to give you like the quick overview of profit first, and then I'll answer that question. And Profit First is a book that was written by Mike Michalowicz,
Ooh.
and it's a cash flow management system that sits on top of your like your bookkeeping. And so it doesn't replace it. But so often entrepreneurs, and even like this, I mean, this definitely is reflected into personal finance, where you
Mhm.
might go onto your online bank account and you look there and you say, okay, I've got X number of dollars in there. And well, what does that even mean? Right. So like if you're someone who like, is in relationship with your numbers, meaning that like, the ins and outs. So if you see that number and you say, okay, it's the 15th of the month. I know that my mortgage is coming out. I know this, and this is happening. Okay. I know what that is. Right. But I would say the majority of people are not in that sort of lockstep because there's so many different moving targets and everything. So
Mhm.
what Profit First does is it says, okay, we're going to take the equation, the accounting equation that's sales minus expenses equals profit, and we're going to flip expenses and profit around. And we're going to put sales minus profit equals expense. Because if we take our profit first,
Uh-huh.
then whatever we have left over is what we use in order to like personal finance, to the lifestyle that you work your lifestyle around that amount. You work around your business like with the amount that you have left over after you take your profit first. And what that does is it first of all creates more intentionality in your business decisions in terms of like how you spend money. In all of the years that I've been doing Profit First implementation, I've never seen a client for me to say you don't spend enough money, that your operating expenses are way lower than they should be. They're
Mhm.
usually the one part of the equation that is out of sync from what we recommend in Profit First.
Mhm.
And so what you do is it's 5 bank accounts. You have one account, income account, all the money flows into that. And then we recommend at least twice a month, you take that income account and then you send it down to the other 4 accounts, which are your operating expense, which I've already shared, the profit account, your tax account, and your owner's pay account. And by doing that, what you're doing is you're taking your profit first, you're paying yourself, and you've got money set aside for taxes. And when you do all of that, you're creating this really solid intentionality. So even if you're someone who's working on removing the money block of I'm not good at managing money,
Mhm.
if you implement this very simple system, you're really starting on that pathway to creating this money management system that's really simple and easy to
Very
use.
simple. Yeah.
Yes.
I was even thinking for myself that just made it make a lot of sense. 'Cause I have so much respect, as we were talking about before the show, that, I have an accountant and I have a bookkeeper and I adore them.
Hmm.
Just because every year I mean to have a much better handle on those things.
Hmm.
I am one of those people who knows exactly where the money is.
Hmm.
Blame that being a single mom, right? And needing to know
Hmm.
where the money is. But this whole concept of, moving money into the profit and moving that forward, that's something that even myself as a highly creative individual who doesn't necessarily enjoy sitting in front of a spreadsheet could do. And I'm sure that the other people who support with their spreadsheets would probably really appreciate it. So how empowering is that? That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely I've watched it change businesses in terms of how they make decisions around money, in terms of what they decide to expense. And they also are able to scale and grow. So it might seem counterintuitive if you're someone who's amassed some debt.
Mhm.
You might think, okay, I got to focus on the debt and I can't scale. Like, no, like you can do both. And it's just working with someone who understands how to make all of those levers work for you and create a customized process for you is like what really, really helps you get the traction that you need.
Well, for me, as soon as you started talking about it, I thought, well, that's really freeing because
Mhm.
and then so many people like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do that. And for so many people, especially those, entrepreneurs who are in and on their business at the same time, that sort
Mhm.
of gives them sort of a place to go from. And then, yeah, I mean, sometimes you need to scale at the same time
Mhm.
as you're paying off
Mhm.
debt. And that
Mhm.
would be a great way to say, well, I'm handling both.
Yeah,
Reduce some anxiety, write that in there.
right. Absolutely.
Very cool. One of the other things that we had sort of flagged to talk about was, why your money story is important. And I think
Mhm.
we alluded to that a little bit, but I've always been fascinated with the money story, right? And
Mhm.
that's personal development coming through for you, right? So
Yeah.
I enjoy the relationship I have with money. It'd be great if there was more.
Mhm.
like you said, more zeros. But I love hearing people's money story, because it's amazing how when you start working with someone and you hear their money story, you can look at their lives and go, that makes sense. I see that here. So let's talk about that money story for a bit in terms of
Yeah.
what we're creating.
Yeah. So I share my money story. And the reason why I share it is because I can see while um it was at one point like a very like hard rooted part of my story. It's still there, like we were talking about before. It's like in the corner, and then every time you see something, you're like, oh, there you are, you sneaky little thing. You're back.
Yes.
Okay, come on,
Yeah.
come pull up a chair, we'll be
Same
fine.
with me. Yeah.
um so I grew up with this fascination around money. Like, there's a lot of like, I used to like take my parents' checkbooks and write pretend checks. I mean, even though they were real checks, I would do that.
It's fun,
Like,
right? Yeah.
yeah, it was so amazing. And just observing like transacting in like retail stores and like the notion of layaway, like all of these different things as a kid, I was like, this is amazing. And so fast forward to the time that I was 18 and my parents separated, and they both filed for bankruptcy. And I was a college student who was then really confronted with like, I was going to take over paying for my private college education. And what was required of me to do that was to work 3 jobs, was to also create a really deep relationship with money, because up until that point, I was really good at making money in terms of working. I like we, was raised, blue collar family, like working hard is not something that I am unfamiliar with. I
Right?
can do it. Right.
Yeah,
Like, yes.
exactly. I get that part.
Yeah. So not afraid to do that. But I think what happened was the other side of it was like, how do you manage? You make all this money, and then how do you manage it? Right. And how do you make decisions around money? So I learned very quickly, like I read my promissory notes for my student loans. I would go and look at my financial aid package every single year and go advocate for like to have things altered and changed in order to do that. I was the president of my student body at my college. And so I was the student that was representative on the finance committee. So I was the one who was advocating for low tuition increase rates. And so like really starting to understand not only like my money story, but like how money works at like a very big level. And I spent my whole career doing that. And the reason why, like the themes that I come out with is that for me, it's not spending money that I have a problem with. It's, well, no, that is my problem, is that I save money. I will just keep money, keep money, keep money. And it all comes down to the fact of like, having to move out of your family home and having to like lose your car. And all of those things are very heavy. Like they still feel very heavy on my heart, because there's this emotional child within me that can like, that relives that experience whenever I like verbalize it. And it's this, so sometimes like I'll just have like all this money saved that I won't do anything with, because, and then I'll keep earning money so that I can save more money. And it's really that conscientious of like, okay, I'm working really hard. Now we can make some decisions around money, and we can intentionally spend our money and do so in a way that is aligned with like what's most important to me in the present moment. But that took so much time. And that really was the money story, unpacking the money story and really seeing how that one situation in terms of like my parents' financial situation had such a direct impact on me. But like I ended up paying my student loans off like well before like the 10-year mark, because it was just, but again, like really flexing and like and working my thoughts around debt. Because like, if you're bankrupt, like that means that you took on too much debt. That's bad. No, debt is not bad. Debt is neutral, right? So like really starting to like exercise that, and really understanding that like my money story is mine, and your money story is yours, but really having the awareness around it really helps see how it plays out in your current money decisions.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I think about that a lot, obviously, right? Because once for me, I woke up one day and he had left. I mean, certainly we could go into, I was ignoring some things, very naive. I grew up in that relationship for sure. But I can remember that the first thing I did was call my bank because I was going to, get an extension on a couple of different things, which had never been a problem before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm like, oh, got to figure it out. I got to get my own place. I got to, right. I got to do some stuff. So I called the bank and they said, oh, we're trying to get a hold of you. You're, 3 months behind on this and we're foreclosing on this and we're foreclosing on that. And it was like overnight. I went from one money story to another money story and had to navigate, foreclosure courts and, being sued. And it was a crazy, crazy, crazy time. And yeah, now I'm definitely still debt averse. It's like, have a credit card? No, thanks. Right. Think of a mortgage? No way. Right. And I think that played into, I mean, I have a tiny home now. So literally, bought and paid for with cash.
Right.
Because there's still not that space. Now, granted, right, I'm also a business owner, so I understand that, you do need debt to move forward. However, it's really fun listening to you talk about that and being able to speak about that on some level to really recognize it, right? And I think sometimes people don't do the work to be aware of it or to look at their money story because there is so much emotion wrapped up in it. But like you say, it just was, right? They're just numbers. The numbers are neutral.
Yeah.
And the situation, it was what it was. And how can I take that and learn that? So for me, it's been about a lot of talking about it and in talking with women, right? And some of my favorite referrals are my lawyer and my trustee, largely because when I was floundering, it was really awesome to have another woman I could reach out to and say, this is coming at me. I don't understand what it means. Help me understand. And, those people have often helped other people avoid getting as deep into it as I was. And so I think for a lot of women, and that's a lot of who listens to the podcast, if you're letting someone else manage your money, it might be time to just start taking a look. That person is probably managing it very well, more than likely. However, moving forward, guess who manages all of her own money?
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a really great, I love this conversation. How often, like, who's the client that usually finds you? Like, so you said 6 and 7 figure business owners. What's the trigger for them usually to come and see you when they're coming?
Yeah. So I would say the majority of my clients are businesses that have been taking on the bookkeeping end of their business because they've been like just focused on it, but they like, it's their least favorite thing to do. They hate it. They're spending their weekends for like trying to figure out what to do. And they're just like more resentful. And they all come with like a similar story, which is this. I'm doing really well in my business, but my bank account does not reflect that. And that just tells me that like they're doing something, but they just like the puzzle is all in pieces so they can see it, but it's not put together. And so when they're coming to me with the intention of like, I know that we need somebody who can help support us, can do the work, but then also tell us what's going on so that we can have a conversation so we can make more meaningful decisions and that we're making decisions not strictly from a financial lens, but with a financial lens and at the table, like having a seat at the table, looking at the numbers and how all of that works. So that's typically how clients come to me, but it's usually because they are managing it themselves, or they have an older school business model in terms of like they have these big finance departments, but that's not like the whole outsource model and being able to use fractional support instead of having a big operation and leveraging technology. They know there's a way to do it. They just don't know how to do it. So that's where they're coming in. But honestly, like the clients that I feel like have the most transformation in the first 2 years of working with me are women who know that they're working really hard and they want to create their results, which are like, I've got, single women who are single moms who want to buy a house, and that just seems so out of reach for them. And within the first year, they're able to get that and they're able to create that. They're able to look at their financial statements and understand what is happening in their business and be able to make decisions from there. They are not abdicating their responsibility to me. They are, that's part of what I advocate for is we have at least monthly calls with my clients so that we can review the financials so that they know exactly what's happening with the financials so that there's no surprises. That is just, there are always plot twists in our lives and in our entrepreneurial journey, right? So sometimes I can't predict those. Like I did not predict the pandemic and everything that happened with all my clients.
Yeah.
But what I can say is we got to the other side. All of my clients, like we built a bridge to the other side. Some of those clients, we had to hibernate their businesses until we were able to do a reopening. Some of them we had to make really tough decisions with releasing employees, but in the spirit of the preservation of the business and for the intention of the business, we were able to do all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So really just like that is where like the core of all of that comes into place is that. And for my business, the way that I always think is interesting is that it's always been from like a referral based environment. It's usually clients referring other, like they're like, people in their network and all of that. And that's really where it comes from. They hear me, they hear what I have to say. They're like, this person is talking in a way that I've never heard talk about it. And oh my God, she seems kind of cool. So like, I have one client who I never knew, but like, I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, like the grunge band of the 90s. And I'm a big Star Wars dork.
Yeah.
So like
birthday's May 4th. So May the 4th be with you.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh. I could totally take this interview off to a thing because we were down in Florida and I was in Star Wars yesterday. So like we could have a whole conversation.
We could have a whole conversation.
Anyways, I will not do that. But it's usually because they see this personality behind the whole thing. So like, yes, we're talking about money. Yes, I know that maybe you're triggered by money, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a relationship with money. We can create a relationship with money, and it will be, if you are someone who needs a slow and steady approach, like I will meet you where you need to be. Like, it's not a one size fits all approach. It's really a holistic approach to what each of my clients need in that moment.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was really touched by that. And again, you come with such a wealth of information and knowledge, but not just that, like there's an intuitiveness to how you're just discussing money. And I've had the belief for a number of years that money is only energy. And when I made that shift in my mind, it was so much easier to ask for a sale. It was so much easier to look at profit very differently, right? Because I had grown up like so many of us with this whole mindset that, rich people, right, all those things that are sort of spoken over us and we adopt without really realizing it. But money is just energy. And when I really embrace that, I was like, well, I put out good energy. So it would be right and fair and my birthright for me to receive money. And that's a really, it could be a very dividing conversation. I can remember the first time I was really seeing success in one of my businesses, and I came home with a brand new car. It was a luxury car. I was very proud of this car. I qualified for this car all by myself. So I'm very proud of this car, and nobody commented. And I was like, wow, even in my family, my immediate family did, but some of the outside people, had this mindset. And I was like, I did good work for this, right? As maybe it's not the 9 to 5 that you're used to. Maybe I'm not, clocking in the hours, but I'm putting out good work and good things. And that really helped me sit back and really shift. I know for a lot of business owners, it's a lot of that subtle stuff. Do you find yourself doing a lot of coaching for women around that kind of stuff, right? Even among like romantic partners, I see it in my girlfriends when they're making money and their husbands are like, well, this, and I was like, there's money coming in the house. Anyway,
right.
I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And I see that, I see that more often with women, but I also see it with my male clients too, because, any one of my clients who has had this period of where like cash flow has been an issue, they've had to dip into their line of credit, and then we're able to make the course corrections. We're able to pay down the debt. We're hiring people. We're having really good growth, that they're giving their employees bonuses in the middle of a pandemic. It all feels like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like, when is this all going to, like, when am I going to wake up and realize like I made some colossal mistake? And the opportunity is to say, like, what if you like in that moment stepped into that next version of yourself, and that this is the way, like a Mandalorian term, right? Like this is the way, right? And if we just step into that, we can just like understand that. But I also think that when something is like, you know, something familiar, like if you're someone who had like worked paycheck to paycheck, and then all of a sudden this, you know, you have this growth in your business. And so now you've created, like you're saving for retirement, you're, you're hiring somebody and you're doing all of that. Of course, like all of that is going to be like, well, what's going on? How am I going to do that? It's because it's unfamiliar. So we just, what we do is we make it familiar. And when we make it familiar, then it becomes like, well, this is how it is. Like, this is how it's like, this is how it's going to be moving forward. And the same would go in terms of like the relationship. So, you know, one of the things that I always thought, my parents are two of the most, like, two of the most hardest working people that I've ever met. Right. Um, and, and I adore that about them, because I feel like that brought, like, I inherited that. Right.
Yep.
And, but like, for me, it's not just about like my kids watching me work hard, but it's also like, they see, like, I remember I had this very large month. It was the largest month I had ever had. And I just remember being like, you guys got to see this. And like, they were like, what, mom, that's incredible. And it was especially, like, I have two girls and a boy, but all three of them, it's important. But I always want my daughters to carry the belief that they can create money, this money result. Like, this is available to you. Like, you know, I'm again, I am from like a middle class family, you know, and so like I didn't go to an Ivy League college, and yet I'm still creating really great financial results that align perfectly with me and my life. And there's something so fulfilling about that, because I'm able to like the gifts that I have developed and given, I'm able to then share with my clients. And I can't believe I actually make money doing this. Like, it just doesn't seem possible. Like, I still have that. And that's like 6 years into this journey.
That's exactly. And I think about this, and I, you know, as I'm listening to you talk about the kids, that's a huge deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I chose to leave my marriage and become a single mom, it was a very, very conscious choice. And to be honest, I really adopted the minimalist, essentialist lifestyle. In
Mm-hmm.
the 2 years that I was in the marriage, I knew I would need to travel light, is sort of the mindset I had, right? I needed
Mm-hmm.
to you know, not have any of those hidden debts, no, you know, $9 charge over here that I wasn't planning on, because I knew I wouldn't be able to sustain it. And there was a number of years where there was no child support or any of those things,
Mm-hmm.
as can often happen. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been important for me to, like you say, to not only have her see me working, but to see me working at something I enjoy, even if I'm working, you know, late on it, that there's some joy in that. In this past year, I bought her an expensive toy that I
Mm-hmm.
know the other half of the co-parenting was still saving up for. And she said, well, my mommy's rich because mom bought this first. And I thought, we have to talk about this. But there was this little moment where I was like, yes, you know, and I owned it, because for me, it really was a celebration, because I had I'd worked for that. Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there was money in the account after the expenses were done, and I could say, yes, let's do that. And the impact that that had on her. And so we talked a lot about that. And we mean, she does a vision board so that when I say mom needs to work, right? We're working toward Disneyland. We have the long-term goal, we have the
Mm-hmm.
short-term goals. Anyway, it's really neat to be able to hold space with someone like yourself, and to hear your own story shared so
Mm-hmm.
candidly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a little inspiring, just gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as we're wrapping up, anything else
Mm-hmm.
you want to leave my listeners with? I mean, we're definitely going to have all of the links to contact you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do some more work, you know, with you, because I think what you're offering is just so huge. I see it so many of the women I work with. The money piece is overwhelming. It's stressful, regardless of their success or their bank account.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal, and to be able to offer a resource to
Mm-hmm.
someone like you is just so cool. But anything else we can leave the listeners with?
You know, I think, you know, the whole idea and the notion about having a relationship with money, you know, I know that we've definitely touched upon that throughout it, but it is like, if you're listening and any of this resonates with you, I invite you to take that as your invitation to taking the first step to develop that relationship with money. And to know that, as I said before, there's not a one size fits all approach. If something doesn't resonate with you, really question that and really uncover why it doesn't, and then also just continue to check in with yourself. A relationship with money is just like any relationship with another human, with an animal, with the earth, with the world. It's something that is always going to be with you. We have our whole like world is built on a system of commerce and money, and as the exchange tool for it. And so if we think about like this is part of our lives, not because of any positive or negative feelings, but it is, then it really creates the opportunity for you to create the relationship that you want to have, and to know that a relationship is long term. It's a long standing, and there's going to be ups and downs, and that's never a problem. It's always an opportunity for you just to dig deeper and to develop a more enriched, loving relationship with yourself and with the money. Because as you said, it is all about energy.
Mhm. Wow. Well, Aimee, thank you so much for
Mhm.
coming and holding space and sharing so candidly
Mhm.
with me today. I can see why clients like to refer you. And they're like, we should talk
Right.
because I feel the exact same way. So thank you so much. And not only that, but for the work that you're doing, there's definitely a need for it.
Mhm.
And so I'm not surprised that you're being paid for what you're doing because there's so much value there. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And to my listeners, you know the drill. Obviously, we'll have all of the links to connect with Aimee down below. I invite you to find her, follow her, leave her a kudos and a high five. Same thing for this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. It does make a really big difference for the content creators like us who are out there saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what we're doing, and this is how we could collaborate together. So, and for the rest of you, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Are you looking for a simple, easy weight management solution? I thought you might be. I know I was. I also wasn't interested in something with a ton of gimmick without any science behind it, which I know a ton of companies have. The company I'm about to share with you actually has 12 of their own clinical studies. And for me, with my science-based background, I needed to know that. I also needed to know the product worked. And so I was introduced to the group that however had 125,000 members in it, all supporting amazing stories of weight management, weight loss, hair regrowth. Oh my gosh. Not surprising though, considering the product itself has won numerous awards in and out of the nutraceutical industry, which I think is pretty incredible. Pretty exciting as well is the fact that it's made with their patented technology, 7 international patents on the collagen in this product, made entirely from chicken sternum. Chicken sternum, why? Because it most closely mimics the collagen that our own bodies create. Now, I'm a 36-plus-year-old woman, and so making sure that I'm maintaining and taking care of and trying to reverse the clock so I can age gracefully is super important to me. Making sure I'm taking products that are safe, making sure I'm taking products that are approved, and making sure I'm taking products that I would be happy to share because there's integrity at the top. So this company is a values-based company, which I absolutely love. Not only do I love that, but I love the flavors. This is mango. Mango's my favorite. This is from the Modera company, which you've heard me talk about before. 1 simple spoonful a day. In the morning, I can add it to my coffee if I feel like it. I don't add the mango, I add the vanilla to my coffee. But I can add a simple spoonful to my day. It tastes awesome. It tastes amazing. And it's helping my body to maintain the figure that I've worked to get to. Why not? Now, if you're looking for some weight management, this is going to help curb appetite. It's going to help your body to function as best. And we know that when you do something like that and you make wiser choices, your body says thank you. This is part of an entire system called the Lean Body System. I will make sure to post information for that below, or you're welcome to scan the QR code, which I know is going to be somewhere in the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, head over to modere.ca. That's MODERE, modere.ca, or modere.com, and use code 5579027. Again, 5579027 to save $10 on your next order, regardless of what you put in your cart. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the listen.